There's a moment before you check your phone, that flicker of panic that whispers, "What if nothing's there?" That's the moment your mind tries to protect you, and also the moment it hijacks your creation power. Because anxiety isn't just a feeling, it's a signal distortion. It scrambles the frequency that reality is trying to reflect back to you. I learned this the hard way. I used to wake up already bracing for the day, scanning for what might go wrong. My thoughts would spiral. Money, messages, opportunities, all circling one fear: what if it doesn't work out? And no matter how much I visualized or journaled, that background buzz of fear made everything feel like effort. Then one night, something clicked. I read a single line, 7 words, that felt like an electric current through my chest. Not poetic, not mystical, just real. It didn't promise control. It gave me permission to let go of control. And for the first time, I could actually feel my energy drop from my head into my body. The overthinking softened. The field around me felt still, like a mirror that finally stopped rippling. The next morning, the same problems existed, but the charge was gone. My decisions became cleaner. People responded differently. Timing flowed. It was as if reality had been waiting for me to exhale. That's what we're diving into here. How one short sentence can deactivate the circuitry of anxiety, not by erasing thoughts, but by shifting the place you're observing from. This isn't a mental trick. It's quantum hygiene, a recalibration of the frequency that determines what you actually experience. Because once you understand how the observer field interacts with emotion, you realize the calm you think you need to earn is actually your natural broadcast. And those 7 words, they unlock it. To understand why those 7 words work, you have to see how the observer effect actually operates in your body. Not in theory, but in real-time awareness. Think of your consciousness as a tuning fork. Whatever emotion you embody, you resonate with the same frequency in the field. When you're anxious, your signal is fragmented, like a radio between stations. You hear static because 2 frequencies are colliding, the one you intend and the one you feel unsafe to receive. The quantum field isn't judging, it's mirroring coherence. It reflects your dominant vibration back through opportunities, timing, and the behaviors of others. So if your nervous system is broadcasting threat, the field faithfully echoes that, not to punish you, but to keep you congruent. Here's where the 7 words come in. They act as a reset phrase, not magic, but mechanical. They drop you out of mental simulation and back into embodied observation. They remind your system, I am safe to be here now. That safety collapses the dual frequency and restores coherence. Because manifestation doesn't fail from lack of effort. It fails when your signal is scrambled by survival. You can't broadcast creation while your biology thinks it's under attack. And anxiety is exactly that. The body's stuck in predictive mode, trying to prevent pain before it happens. When you understand this, everything changes. You stop trying to fix your anxiety and start realizing it's just energy trapped between 2 conflicting intentions, to expand and to protect. The 7 words align those 2 impulses. Imagine the tuning fork again. One side vibrating with desire, the other humming with fear. When they meet through presence, a clear tone emerges. That's coherence. That's when manifestation turns from thought into embodiment. So what are the 7 words? They're not, I am calm, I am peaceful, too weak, too cognitive. These 7 words pierce deeper, into the place where control dissolves. Because control is the true fuel of anxiety, and letting go of it changes everything. And once you hear them, you'll feel why. The biggest myth about anxiety and manifestation is that you need to get rid of it before anything good can happen. That you have to be perfectly calm, endlessly positive, a walking affirmation machine. Otherwise, the universe won't hear you. That idea is what keeps most people trapped in the very loop they're trying to escape. Because anxiety isn't a malfunction. It's information. It's your system saying, there's a mismatch between what I'm imagining and what I feel safe to receive. The energy isn't wrong. It's just misdirected. And when you try to fight it, you amplify the static instead of clearing it. Let's bring it to a scene. Picture this. You send a message to someone you care about. Maybe a new connection. Maybe someone you've been hoping to hear from. You hit send, and immediately your chest tightens. You start checking your phone every few minutes. Each second of silence feels like proof that something's wrong. What's really happening there? Your consciousness split. One part is projecting desire. I hope they reply. The other part is bracing for disappointment. What if they don't? That inner friction is the broadcast the field picks up. It's not punishing you with delay. It's mirroring the uncertainty you're holding. Here's where the 7 words slice through the noise. They aren't about forcing peace or pretending you don't care. They're about releasing the grip that keeps your nervous system in threat mode. When you say them, the loop breaks. The tuning fork steadies. Your awareness comes back into the present, where manifestation actually happens. And no, it's not let it go. It's deeper than that. Those 3 words still hold a command, still a form of control. The real shift happens when you speak to the body, not to the mind, because the body is the antenna. It's what tells the field whether to open or close. And when you whisper this particular sequence, it's like telling your cells, you're allowed to stop defending. You're allowed to receive again. That's why these words aren't affirmations. They're a code, one that resets the observer's state to neutral awareness. The phrase doesn't calm you by thought, but by collapsing the need to manage experience. And when that happens, something beautiful unfolds. The field finally mirrors peace instead of pressure. But to understand why that single sentence works on such a deep level, you have to see what it does inside your nervous system. Because it's not just psychological, it's electromagnetic. Every emotion you feel is an electrical signal. Your nervous system is not just a bundle of nerves, it's your personal transmitter. When it's in fight or flight, your field contracts. When it's in safety, your field expands. This expansion isn't something you imagine, it's measurable. Coherence between your heart and brain, between thought and vibration. The 7 words work because they create that coherence instantly. They don't try to calm your mind. They speak safety to your body. And once your body believes it's safe, your signal becomes pure again. Think of coherence like a song perfectly in tune. Every cell hums to the same rhythm. You feel grounded, but also clear. From that state, intention becomes magnetic. The field recognizes your signal as stable, trustworthy. That's when synchronicity starts to show up. Not because you earned it, but because the channel is finally open. Here's the science underneath the magic. When you're anxious, your heart rhythm becomes erratic. The brain then receives that irregular pattern and interprets it as threat. The mind starts predicting, calculating, controlling, trying to fix what the body is actually just trying to feel. That's why affirmations often fail when you're tense. The mind says, I'm fine, while the body screams, I'm not. The field responds to the body's broadcast every time. So how do we regulate that? You don't need hours of meditation. Just 30 seconds of awareness can begin the recalibration. Let's try it right now. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice where your body touches the surface beneath you. Let your shoulders drop by 1%. Feel the air moving in and out of your chest. Then, quietly repeat to yourself, it's safe for me to not know. Those are the 7 words. Simple, subtle, but quantum in effect. It's safe for me to not know. They disarm the reflex to predict, the core of anxiety. They bring the tuning fork back into a single, steady tone. Because the nervous system can't relax while it's trying to calculate outcomes. The instant you say these words and feel them, the body stops scanning for danger and returns to presence. And presence is coherence. Presence is the open channel through which reality reorganizes. From this state, your energy stops broadcasting fear of loss and starts transmitting readiness. And that shift, from defense to receptivity, is what turns intention into manifestation. But this coherence is only half the story. Because calm isn't the goal, identity is. What happens when you no longer feel calm, but become it? Calm as a state can fade. Calm as an identity becomes who you are. That's the difference between momentary relief and quantum stability. Most people use techniques to reach peace. Breathe deeper, think positive, repeat mantras. But identity is a frequency you live from, not something you visit when life feels safe. When you repeat, it's safe for me to not know, over time, something subtle shifts. You stop saying it to calm yourself and start saying it from calm itself. The phrase becomes less of a tool and more of a mirror reflecting who you've become. That's when your manifestations start accelerating, not because you're doing more, but because you've tuned into the version of you who already trusts the unknown. Anxiety is often the friction between the self you think you are and the one your future is calling you to embody. You can't step into that new timeline with the same nervous system coding as the old one. The body has to catch up to the frequency of who you're becoming. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to control outcomes, you start aligning with the self that naturally creates them. The one who doesn't need proof before feeling safe. They generate safety from within. Think of it this way. Every identity carries a distinct electromagnetic pattern, a specific signature that the quantum field recognizes. When you're identified with fear, your signal says, I must survive. When you're identified with trust, your signal says, I am already supported. The field mirrors that identity instantly through circumstances that confirm it. So instead of chasing calm, you become calm. Instead of managing energy, you embody stability. That embodiment is what collapses timelines, because the field doesn't respond to effort, it responds to coherence. This is the bridge between temporary states and permanent reality shifts. You don't hold the vibration. You are the vibration. And here's where the deeper layer opens. If identity determines frequency, then it also determines which version of reality you tune into. The tuning fork doesn't just shape your emotion, it selects your timeline. So what if the reality you want is already broadcasting right now, just waiting for you to resonate with it? Because when you shift identity, you don't wait for proof. Proof starts chasing you. Every version of you already exists, each one vibrating on its own frequency, like radio stations playing simultaneously. You're not climbing toward a better version of yourself, you're tuning into it. When your identity shifts, your consciousness locks onto a new station, and everything around you reorganizes to match that signal. Think of timelines as parallel broadcasts. One carries the version of you still controlled by anxiety, checking, predicting, bracing for disappointment. Another holds the version who moves through uncertainty with quiet power, feeling guided instead of tense. Both are real. Both exist now. The only question is, which one are you coherent with? This is where embodiment becomes more than a concept. The body is the dial that selects the timeline. The nervous system translates emotion into signal strength, and the quantum field matches it without judgment. When you say it's safe for me to not know, you're not soothing yourself, you're retuning the dial. The words align your biology with the frequency of trust, and trust is the doorway to higher realities. Let's bring it down to a real moment. Imagine you're sitting in front of your computer staring at your bank account. Bills due, no clear solution in sight. Your chest tightens. You feel that spiral of uncertainty start again. Normally, the mind would leap into problem-solving mode, frantic, grasping, trying to calculate your way out. But this time you pause. You feel your feet. You breathe. You say the words softly, "It's safe for me to not know." Instantly, something subtle happens. The energy collapses back into the present moment. Your thoughts slow down. You're no longer entangled in fear about the future. You're inhabiting the version of you who's calm enough to allow the next step to appear. The moment you stop transmitting panic, you tune out of the scarcity timeline and into one where clarity begins to flow. Maybe an unexpected payment arrives, or an idea lands that changes everything. That's not coincidence. It's coherence. The field responds to who you're being, not what you're hoping for. Each timeline is a complete ecosystem of probability. When you embody a new identity, the quantum field adjusts to sustain it. New people, new opportunities, new timing. So when people say quantum leap, it's not magic, it's resonance. And once you understand how to consciously rehearse this resonance, you can train your system to stay locked on the frequency of the version who already lives what you desire. That's where the real practice begins, in the art of energetic rehearsal. You can't think your way into a new timeline. You have to feel your way there. The nervous system learns through repetition, through sensory experience. So instead of repeating affirmations you don't believe, you train the body to recognize the signal of safety until it becomes second nature. That's the foundation of energetic rehearsal. Here's a simple framework to start aligning with the identity you're tuning into. 1. Bridge statements. Instead of jumping from fear to confidence, use bridges. If your mind says, "I don't know what's going to happen," bridge it to, "and maybe that's okay." That gentle permission slips past resistance. You're not forcing a new belief, you're expanding what's possible. Each bridge weakens the neural loop of control and strengthens the signal of trust. 2. Somatic anchors. Find one physical cue that reminds your body of coherence, maybe placing a hand on your chest, feeling your pulse, or relaxing your jaw. Each time you do, pair it with the phrase, "It's safe for me to not know." Over time, the anchor becomes a shortcut to regulation. The body remembers the vibration of ease faster than thought can catch up. 3. Quantum rehearsal. This is where identity solidifies. Choose one scene from the timeline you want. Walking into a room confident, receiving good news, feeling free. Close your eyes and embody it fully. Posture, breath, facial expression. the texture of that version's energy. Don't visualize the result. Feel the frequency of already being that person. Hold it for 30 seconds, then release. You're not chasing. You're rehearsing resonance. 4. Environmental reinforcement. Everything around you either sustains or scrambles your signal. Begin adjusting your space subtly. Music, scents, objects that hold the energy of peace. Not to escape reality, but to remind your nervous system of the vibration it's learning to normalize. Do this daily, especially when anxiety rises, because that's not a setback. It's an invitation. Every wave of fear is your system asking, can we stay open even now? Each time you answer with coherence, the tuning fork stabilizes further. You stop reacting and start transmitting. And eventually, you won't need to rehearse. You'll become the rehearsal itself. Every breath, every gesture, every silence, broadcasting trust without effort. That's when your life starts reflecting it automatically, not with force, with frequency. Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop gripping, what you wanted finally shows up? Tell me your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's leap. Even once you start living this coherence, 3 traps can quietly pull you back into distortion: urgency, split signals, and over-control. Each one looks like action, but it's actually resistance in disguise. Urgency is the fear that time will run out before the universe delivers. It pushes you into forced timelines, refreshing the inbox, rechecking the plan, trying to speed up what's already unfolding. But urgency broadcasts scarcity. It tells the field, I'm not safe unless it happens now. And the quantum mirror reflects that anxiety as delay. The antidote isn't inaction. It's remembering that waiting isn't wasted time. It's integration time. The field rearranges through stillness, not panic. Each time you breathe instead of rush, you prove to your body that nothing's being taken from you. Split signals are more subtle. They happen when part of you wants expansion, but another part fears what that expansion will cost. You might want love but fear vulnerability, want abundance but fear judgment, want visibility but fear rejection. These mixed frequencies confuse the field, like tuning 2 stations at once. The solution isn't to kill the fear, it's to include it. When you acknowledge the resistant part, I see you and you're safe here too, coherence returns. The signal unifies and manifestation accelerates naturally. Over-control is the hardest one to see because it masquerades as discipline. You keep adjusting your methods, redoing your rituals, trying to ensure alignment. But control is just anxiety dressed up as effort. The more you grip, the less the energy flows. True mastery isn't in micromanaging outcomes, it's in stabilizing frequency. You guide reality through embodiment, not enforcement. Each of these obstacles is really an opportunity, a mirror reflecting where safety hasn't yet rooted itself. When urgency arises, practice stillness. When split signals appear, practice inclusion. When control surfaces, practice release. Every time you respond with coherence instead of contraction, the body updates its code. Because manifestation isn't a test. It's a feedback loop. The universe isn't asking if you deserve your desire. It's checking if you can hold it without collapsing. Once you understand that, even your challenges become calibration tools. Every obstacle becomes proof that your energy is refining. And when that calibration extends beyond your quiet moments, into your daily motions, your conversations, the way you walk and breathe, that's when reality begins to bend with you, not against you. Because coherence doesn't stop at meditation. It spills into life itself. This work isn't meant to stay on a yoga mat or in a journal. The real magic happens when coherence becomes muscle memory, when trust walks with you through the ordinary. Manifestation isn't built in silence, it's revealed in motion. Every small moment is a chance to stabilize your signal. When you walk, notice the rhythm of your steps, each one a pulse through the field. When you eat, feel gratitude not as an idea, but as electricity moving through your hands. When you speak, listen for the tone underneath your words. Are you broadcasting fear or calm certainty? The phrase, "It's safe for me to not know," can thread through everything. Whisper it before opening an email, before a conversation, before making a decision. It tells the body, we're okay, even here. That safety ripples outward. The barista smiles back differently. Traffic flows smoother. Timing starts aligning with your rhythm. It's not luck. It's coherence interacting with the collective field. You'll notice the shifts first in micro ways. A message arriving at the perfect moment. An opportunity appearing just when you release the search. But those aren't random. They're reflections of an observer who's no longer leaking energy through anxiety. Try this tomorrow. During your morning routine, move slower. Brush your teeth, drink your coffee, breathe with intention. Feel how the body begins to synchronize with the moment. That's heart-brain coherence in motion. You're teaching reality how to respond to your stillness. And when challenges arise, because they always will, treat them as tuning checks, not tests. The delay, the silence, the unknown, each one asks, can you stay aligned even now? The answer doesn't come through logic. It comes through embodiment. Eventually, you won't have to pause and remember the words. The body will remember for you. It will exhale instead of brace. Trust will become the baseline tone of your system, humming beneath every action. That's when manifestation feels effortless, not because life stops being complex, but because you've stopped being fragmented. This integration isn't about control. It's about rhythm, moving in time with the intelligence that's always been guiding you. But what happens when that rhythm expands beyond your personal world? When coherence begins to ripple through your relationships, your creativity, your sense of purpose itself? That's when manifestation stops being about getting. It becomes about resonance with something larger. Once your inner signal stabilizes, the field doesn't just reflect back calm. It starts reorganizing everything connected to you. Relationships shift first. People who once felt unpredictable begin responding to your steadiness, as if your frequency reprogrammed the entire dynamic. When you no longer broadcast need or defensiveness, you stop magnetizing chaos. Love begins to mirror coherence. Imagine this. A close friend or partner brings tension into the room, maybe irritation, maybe fear. Before, you'd absorb it instantly, trying to fix their mood or explain yours. Now, instead of merging with that frequency, you anchor your breath, feel your chest open, and quietly remember, it's safe for me to not know. The energy softens. Their nervous system unconsciously synchronizes to yours. That's heart-brain coherence in action between humans. Resonance replacing reactivity. The same law applies in creativity. When your field stops vibrating in panic, ideas flow in their natural timing. Inspiration doesn't arrive under pressure, it lands when space appears. The artists, entrepreneurs, or leaders who seem lucky aren't luckier. They've trained their systems to stay coherent under uncertainty. Their genius isn't control, it's openness. Let's drop into a real-world scene. You're standing backstage before a presentation or performance. The old version of you would have been shaking, mentally rehearsing every line, worrying about mistakes. But this time, you feel that familiar surge of adrenaline, and instead of fighting it, you whisper those 7 words. The body exhales. You feel your feet. The tuning fork stabilizes. You walk onto the stage as the version of you who's already resonant with success. The audience feels it immediately. Coherence is contagious. This is how manifestation grows beyond the personal. As your field strengthens, it influences collective fields, teams, families, communities. Your nervous system becomes a stabilizer for everyone around you. That's what true energetic leadership looks like. Health begins to respond too. When the body stops cycling through chronic threat, energy flows back into repair. Cells regenerate in coherence. Digestion, immunity, focus, all sharpen because the system is no longer scattering electricity through anxiety. At this stage, the practice isn't about managing feelings, it's about maintaining resonance in more complex frequencies. Intimacy, creativity, purpose. You become a living transmitter of ease. And then something deeper starts to dawn, that this coherence isn't something you're generating. It's something you're aligning with. Because beyond all techniques and tuning, there's a greater intelligence pulsing underneath it all. One that's been waiting for you to stop trying to control it. At a certain point, you realize coherence isn't something you do. It's something you remember. Beneath the mind's noise, beneath the nervous system's defense patterns, there's a still intelligence. The same one that moves the tides, heals wounds, and spins galaxies. When you align with that intelligence, you stop feeling like a separate creator trying to make things happen. You start moving as the field itself. Those 7 words, "It's safe for me to not know," aren't just emotional regulation. They're a surrender into that deeper rhythm. They acknowledge that the quantum field, the fabric of consciousness itself, is already orchestrating everything with perfect precision. Anxiety comes from the illusion that you're alone in that orchestration. Peace returns the moment you remember you're not. Surrender has been misunderstood as passivity, but in truth, it's the most powerful creative act there is. It's not giving up. It's handing over control to the intelligence that sees farther than your logic ever could. When you stop gripping, energy that was locked in tension floods back into coherence. You become a conduit for creation, not a manager of it. This is where manifestation evolves into communion. You start to feel reality breathing with you. The people you meet, the words you speak, even the pauses in your day, all start to synchronize with an invisible order. It's not coincidence, it's communication. The field speaks through timing, symbols, sensations. You're no longer begging for signs. You're living inside them. And paradoxically, the more you surrender, the stronger your influence becomes. Because resistance scatters power, while trust concentrates it. When you release the illusion of control, you enter alignment with infinite intelligence. And in that alignment, things happen through you, not by you. There's a humility that comes with this realization. You stop measuring success by outcomes and start measuring it by resonance, by how deeply you can stay open in the unknown. Every event becomes feedback, not failure. Every delay becomes preparation. At this level, manifestation isn't about attracting specific outcomes anymore. It's about attuning to the highest possible expression of the timeline that already exists, the one that reflects your truest self. And when you live there, creation becomes effortless. You become both observer and observed, wave and particle, question and answer, all at once. Because surrender doesn't shrink your power. It expands it beyond what you could ever control. And in that expansion, everything you were chasing starts moving toward you, as if it always knew the way. Everything we've explored circles back to one truth. Your reality is not responding to your plans. It's responding to your presence. When your presence is coherent, the field can finally mirror clarity instead of confusion. That's what those 7 words unlock. They don't grant control. They dissolve the illusion that you ever needed it. It's safe for me to not know. Say it again, quietly. Feel how it lands in your chest. That exhale isn't weakness. It's signal alignment. The moment you stop demanding certainty, your energy becomes available to creation. The tuning fork hums in one steady tone. The mirror clears. The field reflects you, not your fear. Think of your life now as a radio that's finally tuned. Every desire you've ever had already exists as a broadcast. You don't chase it. You harmonize with it. That's what quantum manifestation really means, matching the rhythm of what's already true. The more you live in that state, the more life rearranges itself to keep you there. And when anxiety reappears, because it will, you'll know it's not a setback. It's an invitation to deepen trust. You'll place a hand on your heart, breathe once, and remember, safety isn't found in knowing, it's found in being. This is how creation unfolds now. Not through grasping, but through coherence. Not through control, but through communion. The universe doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your energetic signature. And when that signature hums with peace, everything you use to reach for begins reaching for you. So the next time your mind spirals, try it. Pause, breathe, and speak those 7 words aloud. Have you noticed that moment when you stop gripping? What you wanted finally shows up? Tell me your story in the comments. It might unlock someone else's leap. Because when one person's signal stabilizes, the entire field brightens. And maybe, just maybe, your calm is the frequency someone else has been waiting to find.